Yes, that's right. I said Aliexpress and Grail Watches all in the one sentence because I think there is actually some watches on Aliexpress that may fit this category. Because on Aliexpress, there's a whole bunch of watches. There's sort of cheaper ones, there's reasonable ones, there's some really good ones, there's some outstanding ones, and then there's the ones that I'm going to share with you today. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. And today I want to talk about some special watches because I buy watches from a lot of different places. I buy microbrands, I buy from AliExpress, I buy mainstream brands, I buy some semi-luxury brands, some budget affordable brands, I buy new, I buy secondhand. But what I'm realizing as I go down this sort of pathway of watch collecting is that there are some watches that just outshine the rest. And it doesn't matter about so much the price or the location. There just seem to be certain watches from certain brands or certain locations or certain types of watches that just grab me and say, this watch is something special. And those watches, I think, are Grail watches. Because if you can find one special watch from a brand that outshines all the rest, it doesn't really matter what the price is, it's something special and it deserves that attention. And AliExpress has some of these watches, and they're the ones that I want to share with you today. Now, all the watches that I'm going to show you today are in my collection. They are watches that I have hands on, that I'm wearing, and I'm still wearing, and I love so much, and I know that they are actually something special. They're not something that I've seen on the website and I'm saying, oh, that looks good. No, I know these watches are good. And guys, if you're interested in any of these after this video, I'm going to leave some affiliate links down below, and I do appreciate it if you choose to use them. And guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, would you mind just clicking on that subscribe button? It makes such a huge difference to me, and for you, it costs absolutely nothing. You just need to click on it. But let's jump into these watches because these are something special, and I'm actually rather excited to share them with you. The first one on this list is the Sugess Bronze Pilot. First of all, it was the looks that caused me to buy it, but it was the quality that made me fall in love with this. It absolutely surprised me how good quality this is and how much it has now become one of my most worn watches, and it has definitely become one of the permanent watches in my collection. Now, it's not one of the cheapest watches from AliExpress. This one costs 530 Australian dollars, probably a little bit less on the sale periods, but at that sort of price, you're getting a watch that is outstanding in almost every sort of aspect. It's obviously a bronze watch. I've only got 2 bronze watches in my collection at the moment, and that's probably about enough, but this one, it just suits the watch perfectly. It has a sapphire crystal, which is lovely. Obviously, the dial there looks lovely. The hands are all bronze as well. It is a 42mm case by a 51mm lug to lug, so it is quite large, or it feels quite large in hand, but on wrist, it actually fits really nicely. 200 meters of water resistance as well. It also contains the ST1901 manual wind chronograph movement with a lovely see-through case back, which is one of the things that I love about this watch, seeing that beautiful movement. I also particularly like how the chronograph pushes are set up, and I like the quality of the strap, and I think it really has become one of my absolute favorite watches in my collection. Next is the Merkur Skin Diver. The look and the design of this one is what immediately grabbed my attention and made me want to buy this one. And it was, as soon as it was released, it was one of the watches I knew I wanted to buy. But I have to say, I was actually rather surprised by how well it is made and how much I love it and how often I'm wearing this one. And for 200 Australian dollars, I think that's a lot of watch for that money. It's a 38mm case diameter. It's only got mineral crystal, but I think it suits this style of watch. It has that really cool internal rotating bezel, but it comes with 100 meters of water resistance. Initially, the text on the dial I thought was a little bit possibly spelt wrong, but actually it's in French for whatever reason, but I guess it's not misspelt, it's just in French. I don't know what the movement is inside this one. It is a manual wind movement. I've heard there's some people are having a few problems with the Merkur manual wind movements. I haven't personally had any issues. So far, so good. The strap has been a bit of a surprise for me as well because it is actually really good. And the biggest surprise, as I've mentioned, is actually has become one of my favorite watches just to wear. It's a really easy watch to wear. It's a nice size watch to wear, and I'm really enjoying it at that $200. I can't really complain whatsoever. Number 3 is the IX&DAO Ipose. Now, I call this one the Ipose 5303. Now, that's what I've ended up calling it. And this is an obvious homage watch, but I've actually had hands on with the watch that it is homaging, and I prefer this one. And I prefer this one because I prefer the size of the watch, the size of the dial especially, because it's actually slightly larger than the original watch. I prefer that this one comes with the SW200, but it's also available with a PT5000. Now, the PT5000, if you want to buy it, is 380 Australian dollars. You are going to have to spend a little bit more money if you want the Sleater. I actually chose to spend a little bit more money and get the Sleater, but the Sleater is 520 Australian dollars. It's got a lovely 40mm case diameter, 200 meters of water resistance, and a sapphire crystal. And those amazing looks are backed up by sort of the quality of this watch. I love wearing this one. It is a little bit different from my collection. It has a slight elegance to it, but it also has a slight everyday look to it. It's just a beautiful walking watch, and I'm so thankful that I bought it. Now, the first video I did of this Aliexpress Grail list ended in a Hruodland watch, and it ended up putting another Hruodland watch on this list. It's not because I have anything specific about Hruodland, it's just that this is an amazing watch. This is the F008Q. This is my second one that I've had in my collection, and it's been equally as amazing. So there may be something about this brand, so I'm going to have to keep an eye on it. But this is obviously a homage watch. It does have a homage look to it, but it is also unique because no watch from that original sort of watch design has this dial design. It's obviously a bronze watch as well. Interesting that there's two bronze watches on this list. It just happens to be two bronze watches that are particularly good. It has those amazing integrated bronze lugs as well, but it is that dial, that sort of bronze looking dial that sort of fades out to black, that really grabs me. Now this one comes with a PT5000 for 490 Australian dollars. You can get it with an SW200, but it does cost a bit more. I'm not 100% sure if I'd want to spend that extra money. I'm on the fence about that one, but it does have that lovely bronze case, 39mm case diameter as well, with that beautiful sapphire crystal and 200 meters of water resistance. Also comes on one of the best leather straps I've personally experienced. It is the combination of the size and the wearability and the looks of this watch that has really grabbed my attention, that has made it a permanent feature in my collection. It has made it be one of my favorite AliExpress watches. The last watch on this collection is another Merkur, and it is the WWII. It is one of the most affordable watches on this collection at 170 Australian dollars, but that price actually varies a little bit depending on which one you get. And that's actually one of the things that I like about this watch the most and why it actually is on this list. There's a lot of variations of this watch. Obviously, I like this style, this case, this dial, that sub secondhand. It suits me. But if you don't like that case, well, there's another case. And if you don't like that dial, well, there's like 7 or 8 different dial configurations that you can go for. But all of them have that sort of vintage, sort of military style theme, and what you do get is a really well-made watch, well-finished watch, and a nice size at 38mm. You get an acrylic crystal, 30 meters of water resistance, and you get a strap that's probably not particularly fantastic, and I haven't been wearing it on this particular strap, but that's an easy thing to switch out. And all of these watches that I've shown you today are in my collection, and I am actively wearing and I'm actively enjoying, and that's why I needed to add them to my Grail AliExpress watch list. Now guys, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you'll check out these two next.